The views and opinions expressed by the guests, callers, and hosts on this and all Rense Radio Network programs do not necessarily reflect or agree with those of the network, its commercial sponsors, its radio station affiliates, or internet broadcast platforms. In these controversial times, we believe the First Amendment and freedom of the press are absolutely essential to the survival of our nation. Thank you. And now, enjoy the program.
Welcome back. We have a lot to talk about. Lots been going on. The circus continues. How many rings are there involved in this endless procession of clowns and jokers? It's really amazing. Of all the headlines I've posted so far, I think the most enjoyable, humorous one is Rocket Man 1, Trump 0. That was good. Number 2 would be, let's see. I guess it would have to be when Trump went out to show off his $1.6 million armored limo to Kim. Mine's bigger than yours. And same old, same old. Hello, Gerald, Celente, trendsresearch.com is the address, and this is the man who is voted, and I'm grateful. You deserve some recognition. The world's funniest reporter, but I think wittiest is far more appropriate. How are you?
I'm good. Well, actually, it was an event sponsored by Goldman McCormick Public Relations, and a great group. And I've known them for a lot of years. And they have this event each year in New York City at the comic strip. I mean, this is where, Seinfeld and others, it's a famous place. And they have reporters. It's New York's funniest reporter. And they have, top reporters from Bloomberg, AP, ABC, all the big ones.
It's kind of like a mini White House correspondence.
Well, it's better than that.
I would think.
Oh, much better, yeah. I mean, they're very intelligent people and very nice. And you do about a 5-minute routine, stand-up. And when you said a 3-ring circus, my title was The Greatest Freak Show on Earth.
Ah, wonderful.
And I began it by saying when I was a kid, they used to have the Ringling Brothers Barnum and Bailey Circus. It was called The Greatest Show on Earth. And now, they've trumped it. Now it's the greatest freak show on earth.
Yeah.
And you know me, I go, I'm a political atheist, so I go after all of them. And then, of course, the media was there, and I made fun of them as well. And beginning with, guys like little Chris Cuomo would be a nobody if his old man wasn't Mario, the governor of New York.
All
the guy
true.
on CNN, the arrogant little boy. And what's his name over there? Anderson Cooper, if his mama wasn't Gloria Vanderbilt.
He's the trisexual, isn't he?
Well, I think quadsexual. I'm not sure.
Right.
But, I did a Me Too routine, too, about, how as a kid, young kid growing up in the Bronx and social climbing to Yonkers and moving into an Irish area, I was in three Italian kids in an all-Irish school, how I fell in love with the Irish girls. And how, I'm of the generation of peace and love. And now if you talk about peace, you get arrested, And how tough it is, and how tough it is being a Napolitano. And, I said an Italian guy, all I ever thought of, is kissing beautiful girls. How tough it is to be in the Me Too world. And I made the point that when I moved to Yonkers, and I have the picture in my Zizzy book, what Zizzy gave Honey Boy. Zizzy, of course, is Neapolitan dialect for auntie. And I have a picture of me and Teresa McKelvey and our first communion. We're all dressed in white. And we used to be in the basement of Christ the King Church when they're giving us religious instructions, and we used to be kissing. I'd be locked up today.
You would be.
I would be.
Yeah, you would be. And that brings to mind a real quickie. When you're done, I'll tell you. And go ahead.
So I went into that, and about how... I did a whole routine on that, and then I asked people to look up the definition of politician. And I said, Google it up. Pick up your handheld. And
You invited them to pick up their smartphones?
That's right. And then they look it up, and I read it. Someone who runs for office, someone who's manipulative and devious to gain advancement with an organization. And I said, do you know why you call them handhelds? And I said, because you're masturbating in public. So anyway, I won the thing. They told me hands down, and it was a great cause. Also, it's for the Humane Society.
Yeah, very good.
And I went into a lot of other areas as well, and I just pulled them all apart, from Obama to Bush to Trump. And I said, how can any adult call themselves a Republican or a Democrat? Who's your favorite murderer and thief?
Isn't that the truth? God.
So it was a great show and a great cause. And so I was voted the funniest reporter in New York. And for a guy that grew up in the Bronx, that's good. Yonkers, that's good enough for me.
That's really good. I'm happy for you. It sounded like a wonderful evening.
It was. It was a great evening, and again, great people. And I met a number of people I knew too. One of them, by the way, her name was Andy Incenzio, and she works for AP, and I've known her for years. We never met each other, and I was a part of the joke that I did. I said I kissed Ann on each cheek, and I said, please don't report me to Me Too.
Oh God, be careful. Yeah. Jeez. You can't even say anything anymore.
I know. It's so uptight, man.
Yeah, here's one for you. This, and I never watched him. I only knew the name, Anthony Bourdain.
Right.
This, another chef, I think an Indian-born woman, gave birth to a child and about the same age as... anyway, Anthony has an 11-year-old. Hers was born a couple of years ago, and they became very good friends. And he kept picking up her little baby and putting his nose and face and nuzzling the baby and then the crook of its neck. Right. And he kept saying, I love the smell of new babies. Now, I went right away to the back of my head and I said, that's a dangerous remark in this culture.
That's right.
But that's what he said, and that's how she reported it. And I said, "Oh my!"
She reported him.
She reported him directly as saying that. Yes, she was proud of it.
Yeah, babies have a smell. I remember
it's
I had
a clean
little sisters,
baby smell, and he'd always do that. She said he'd always pick up my little girl and put his head in there and say, "I love the smell of clean babies," or something.
And I love all these Me Too. They're so noble. I mean, all their how they came out against that Palestinian, how they came out for that Palestinian medic that was shot in the back by the Israelis.
Yeah, brave Israelis.
All the Me Too's came out to support her. And how about that girl that was beaten up by those little boys over there called cops on Wildwood Beach in New Jersey on Memorial Day?
Yeah,
all the Me Too's came out for her,
they lined
too.
Right up.
Oh, they were all there, yeah. And all. Oh, by the way, just yesterday, 2 days ago, the United States killed about 18 people in a area in Syria. Many children, and when they all came out in protest of that too. Bunch of save it,
No, they're the phoniest.
Yes, I know the terrible things about rape, but I also know, that they came up with the word casting couch for a reason.
Oh, it takes two to get on a casting
right.
couch.
So I know the terrible things, but I could tell you, I have on my wall my ancestors, many of them, my great-grandmother, my grandmother, my aunts, my mother. If you gave any of these women, if you tried anything with them, you SOB, who the hell do you think you're dealing with? They would have put anybody in their place.
That's right.
Now, I'm not talking about rape or sick people doing that. I'm talking about, he put his hand on my shoulder and tell him to take it off.
These simple solutions to these social improprieties have been lost to all younger people. I'm talking about under the age of 35, 40. You don't like something? You go away. You move away. You walk.
Away.
You walk. You don't like somebody around? You walk.
I grew up, with a family of women, boy. They didn't take any baloney from anybody.
It's the way it should be.
Yeah, they were the matriarchs of the family.
But
I was on a show recently with a woman, and she kept touching my leg. Slapping my leg, I think, and I joked with her later. I said, "I'm going to report you."
Good. Yeah, well, it's all true, and
yeah.
I don't know where it's going to end up.
Well, it's the decline of America.
Yeah.
That's what it is. We're going downhill. And, look at, it just happened in, I got to read all this stuff, One of the things, for example, China just built this new rail system, a commuter rail system in Pakistan.
Yeah.
Beautiful. And I'm saying to myself, Pakistan, this beautiful commuter rail, and I'm in New York last week, and you look at the subway, and it's a night in Calcutta, and all these people bragging. I live in Long Island City. I live in Brooklyn. And you got to take the train in. Could you imagine getting on that dirty, filthy, stinking, rotten piece of crap every day?
I've never been there, Gerald. I've never seen it. I've seen pictures, but you got to be there to sense it and see it. I guess
disgusting.
It's that bad,
it's Vomit City, man.
Mm-hmm.
And this is America while China's buying up the world.
Mm-hmm.
And that's another thing, by the way. You and I, we remember going back in the day when... Hello?
Yeah, I'm here.
Okay, I heard a little click there. Back in the day when there was a thing called, we're talking about Korea. We began it with that. And another little slimy, little low-life piece of crap that was better off dead, Harry Truman.
Oh, yeah, thank you.
Who got us into the Korean War.
Yeah.
And again, that was the first war.
Another controlled puppet. Another little turd.
Piece of junk.
Yeah.
And he was the guy that started the Korean War and gave us the CIA, by the way.
Yeah.
Against what most people in government wanted.
Well, that came out of the OSS with Wild Bill Donovan, and yeah, they institutionalized
the Dulles brothers.
Dulles, of course. Yeah.
So anyway, he gives us the Korean War. We're talking about Korea. We got to hate them commies, those lousy commies. And the Cold War's going on.
We got to kill them.
Kill those commies. And then, of course, there were the Russian commies. And you had morons, ignorant, stupid morons called teachers, politicians, and the police force having us doing air raid drills. Now, catch this, man. Here you're this little kid. They run off a siren in the school and have you going under your desk.
You're actually under your desk. For those of you who remember classrooms, there used to be 6 rows of about 6 desks or 5 desks, and there'd be 5 across and say 6 deep. And you got under your little individual desk. You sat on the floor and tell them the rest.
And you went under there until they said they gave you the all clear.
That's
now,
right.
Catch this. These are adults shoving this crap down our throats and pushing it into our brains.
Civil defense. Oh, yes.
Right. But the teachers, everybody's telling you to do this. All right, now check this out, right? An atom bomb goes off, and you're under the desk.
It's hilarious.
What are you kidding me? What is that going to do to save my life?
I mean, it's absurd.
And then when you got bigger and you couldn't sit under the desk, they had us in the hallway. I'm not making this up.
No, they would.
Putting your hand behind your head and leaning up against the wall.
Or getting into a door jam, if you could. It was madness.
These are the same stupid adults that are teaching you in school today and brainwashing you with all the crap that they call education.
Yeah. I think it
hasn't changed.
I think it's more diabolical now. I think it's more evil.
Yeah, in many ways it is.
It was kind of childish and primitive then, but you're right.
Well,
you're
going
totally
back
right.
to hating the commies, what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
And then they taught us to hate the commies in the Vietnam War.
Oh, yeah.
You know, those commies, they're taking over Vietnam.
Don't forget Joe McCarthy. And by the way, there were communists in this country. Not a whole lot. They weren't overrunning everything. But that was not a complete snipe hunt. He was onto something.
Well, yeah, because what they did was they also gave us the labor rights. Mm-hmm. Yeah, that was another one. They had very strong unions because of that movement as well.
Yep.
And then you look back and people, you know, they had a thing called a 40-hour work week in America. Could you imagine that? And then it became 24/7. Stupid. Yeah, how about stores opening up all day long? Stupid. How about getting rid of those blue laws? Stupid. When people didn't work the half a day on Saturday if they worked at all, and if they worked they got time and a half. Stupid. And nobody worked on Sunday. Stupid. They used to have a good time. Stupid. Don't forget to vote for your Republican and Democratic fascist dictators. Stupid.
God.
So now going back to commies. So then they give us the Vietnam War. That's the age I'm of. And every day I used to wake up. I'm the same age as Trump. Are they going to get me? Are they going to get me? And I wasn't smart enough to be against the war. I just couldn't imagine me, you know, looking at these pictures of guys walking in water up to their shoulders, holding a gun over their head in a foreign country and getting shot at.
No, it doesn't work.
So I didn't want to go there. But anyway, they taught us to hate those commies that are going to take over Vietnam. After Vietnam, all invasion. And after that, the dominoes are going to keep falling until they hit the shores of California. I'm not making this up. So now let's fast forward. We're talking about America when it was a great country, when we had good jobs. And now the 20th century was the American century. The 21st century is the communist century. Communist China buying up the world. So this is from not long ago, May 4th. Mm-hmm. Marx's theory still shines with truth. Xi, Xi, that's Xi is pronounced, Xi is pronounced Xi. This is President Xi of China. Right. This is from the Chinese news agency. 2 centuries on, despite huge and profound changes in human society, the name of Karl Marx is still respected all over the world, and his theory still shines with the brilliant light of truth, Chinese President Xi Jinping said Friday. Xi also, General Secretary of the Communist Party of China, Central Committee and Chairman of the Central Military Commission, made the remarks at a grand gathering in Beijing to celebrate the 200th anniversary of Karl Marx's birth. Xi said Marx is, quote, the teacher of revolution for the proletariat and working people all over the world, the main founder of Marxism, creator of Marxist parties, a pathfinder for international communism, and the greater thinker of modern times, end quote. Now, I'm mentioning this because another slimy piece of low-life crap, Slick Willie Clinton, brought those dirty commies, China, into the World Trade Organization during his regime. Now, we were taught to hate those commies, kill those commies, and die for those commies. But hey, let's do business with them. And I got a better idea. What we can do is we can get all our products made over there. We'll give them all our technology because this place is really in the gutter. They don't know how to do it. But we'll tell them and show them how to do it. And we'll bring the products that we made over there, have them export it back, and we can mark up the price a lot more and make a lot more money. And here we are today. When Bill Clinton brought China into the World Trade Organization, they had a 5% of their population, of 1.3 billion people, were middle class. Today, 35%. They have more middle class, plus about 100 million, than the United States has people.
That's really something to think about. I saw that stat, I don't know, a month or two ago, and it really set in on me. I geez, they're doing that well? That's amazing.
Because the European manufacturers and the low-life politicians and the American manufacturers and the low-life politicians sold their nations out so that the manufacturers, the retailers could get their stuff made overseas, bring it back, and mark up the prices. You ready for this?
Yeah.
97% of our shoes and clothing are made overseas in slave labor countries. And when I was a kid, the shoes, the shirts, I remember the garment district in New York, all over the country, mills, factories, all sold out. And it all happened around 1990. Again,
what was the trigger? Go ahead. What was the trigger? Something happened. The trigger.
I'll tell you, the trigger was Slimy Slick Willie. Because George Bush's old man, the other murderer who started the first Iraq War, and they couldn't push through NAFTA. The Democrats fought NAFTA and changes in trade. Clinton came in as this new Democrat. I forgot the name for it. Do you remember the name they had for the new Democratic Party?
No. I know what you mean.
There's a name for it. Anybody listening could look it up. And so they believed Clinton. And that's when it changed. And you remember that great debate with Ross Perot and slimy little Al Gore.
Oh, yeah.
The next sound you hear will be that great sucking sound of Jobs leaving the United States, said Perot.
Gone. Yeah, he was right. I remember that. Hold on a minute. We'll come right back with Gerald after this. Okay, and welcome back. You know, there's another thing about our culture, which is bizarre. It's, I guess the best way to term it is self-mutilation. There are extreme things that people are doing. You've seen them with these things in their earlobe, which make enormously large holes in your lower earlobe. They get bigger and bigger, and that's supposed to be somehow desirable or cool. But the whole idea of tattooing. Now, a lot of you listening have tattoos. Okay, that's fine. You're an adult. You can do what you want. I know an awful lot of people who have tattoos who wish they didn't have tattoos anymore. It seems to me they ought to be able to make them that they'll last 6 months and fade away. But these people now who are into this tattooing thing, and there are a lot of them, Gerald, a lot. I think the majority, almost, of socially active people are tattooing themselves almost from head to foot. They can't stop. They don't want to stop. And now I'm seeing things where they've actually split the human tongue right in the center, straight back, so you have two tongues, one on each side of each other, and they come out, and it looks like a snake's forked tongue. I'm not kidding you. I just came across the Daily Mail has a story on this. I don't get it. Self-mutilation. It's a destruction of worshiping this wonderful instrument that we're born with, and if we take care of it, we can live a nice, long, reasonably happy life. But when you eat poison and toxicity, and then you start abusing it like this, I don't know. There's something wrong. There's a sickness afoot that, as you well know, was predicted years ago, and it's really come into fruition now. I see people with tattoos. I just don't understand it. What is wrong? Are you that miserable?
I remember when I was a kid, I'll never forget, there were 7 children in my family. And my father, may rest in peace, I'll never forget, he said to me one time, I was a kid, he said, I can't understand why. And these are the days, by the way, when the only tattoos you saw were guys that, were in the military.
Oh, in the Navy.
And they had a heart. And they had a heart on their arm with mom in the middle of it. I'm not making that up.
No.
Anybody can look it up. You can see it. And I'll never forget, he said to me, he said, I never understand why people would get tattoos and deface their body. He said, he said, as a father, when your child is born, the first thing you do is you look to see if there are any deformities in the child's health.
Yeah.
And he said, I'll never forget him saying that to me. And again, it's 7 kids in my family, so it wasn't like he didn't know what he was talking about.
Right.
And I think it's I don't know, but it's the sign of the times.
It is. I mean, are the times reflecting the culture, or is the culture creating the times, and is it all by design? I don't know.
Well, again, take a look at when you see all these tribes back in the day, in foreign countries, they're tattooed all over themselves.
Yeah.
So
it's not an intellectually high-level pursuit, in my view.
Well, again, then what I also wonder, as I see all these tattoos, as you mentioned, all over people, you think that ink is going to go into your bloodstream?
Oh, of course. They don't think.
Is it going to do any damage?
Absolutely.
Is it going to improve the health of your body or diminish it?
No.
So I just throw those questions out, and leave it at that. And, the motto of the Trends Journal is think for yourself. But, it's bigger than that, too, because, I was down in the city. I've been down there a couple of times in the last few weeks. I was at a book signing at the Roosevelt Hotel, and they had an outdoor, garden up on the, one of the roofs. And the place where they had the book signing had part of it, a friend of mine. And the other part was open to the public. And I grew up I'm a Bronx guy, and I grew up in the city, back in the day. Used to live down there in the 90s. And anyway, and I said, hey, just to my friend, let's go check out, see what's going on over there after the book signing. And my first words to him, I said, look at this scene. I said, it's a nowhere scene. The people weren't dressed fine. Mm-hmm. They were yelling and screaming. Mm-hmm. They weren't in very good shape. There's a place that I go to for a couple of drinks after work. I like to have a nice outdoor place. And they have a big screen, and they show these old movies, but not movies, clips from like the 1950s and late 1940s, and things, movies that you never saw, A Boy with a Knife or whatever this stuff, and public messages. And what astounds me all the time when I watch these movies from the late 40s to the mid-50s, late 50s, is that the physiques of all of the young boys are almost identical.
It's true. I noticed. Yes, absolutely.
They're all thin and in shape.
Yep. Yeah.
And for most of the women as well. So now I'm going to give you a trend. I got to do this stuff every day, So one of the big package companies that make food, I don't want to say their name, starts with a C. And the big story in the Wall Street Journal was how now frozen foods in this sector are gaining great strength as many are dying back because of the healthy food trend. All right, now get this in your head. A mass manufacturer using low-quality product, making frozen food healthy, nutritious. How about that for oxymorons?
You got it. Absurd.
And
it's all
morons
nuts.
To buy it and believe it.
Yeah.
So going back to the culture with tattoos, what do we have, Jeff? 70% of the American people over 20 are either overweight or obese, going again back to those late movies, and anybody could see it.
When I was a kid, I think we may have mentioned this before. In my classroom, there was one kid who was overweight, and they had jeans, blue jeans back then, and they had normal size for kids, and they were thin kids, like you're describing. And then they had a husky size. That was the name of it. It's called husky.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, and if somebody was, they weren't obese. These were just big kids.
They called them husky. Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, and it was a shame to have to wear husky jeans. My God, now everyone starts out in husky jeans and progresses to obese.
Again, they're eating crap, and it shows.
Oh, they're eating poison. They're literally shortening their lives by decades.
Poison. In so many different ways. So again, putting it all together and starting with the tattoos, it's the whole culture, and the culture is lost. There's no beauty, there's no sound, there's no style. Again, I'm a New Yorker. I know what New York used to look like, and I got the end of it. It wasn't like it was great. The greatest times were pre-World War II and right after World War II. And but then after that, it started to, dumb down and overbuild. And now the city's just filled with ugly glass crap buildings. It looks like junk. But anyway, going back to, I said to my friend, look at these people. I said, this is a nowhere scene. And that's what America's become, a nowhere scene. Think about the great songs of the day when we were growing up. Going to Kansas City, Kansas City, here I come. One song, Chicago.
Yeah.
One of them, New York, and now it's nothing.
The music is not music anymore.
But I'm saying nothing reflects the individuality of the nation and the uniqueness of where you were.
It's all heard.
I left my heart in San Francisco.
No, it's all one. No.
It's nothing. It's globalized plastic glass crap.
Well, they have a term in music which they use now. It's called compression. And they make all the instruments and the vocals basically at the same level of sound. So nothing stands out. It's all homogenized. It's compressed. It doesn't have the edge that it used to have. You listen to songs from the 50s and 60s, they'd have an edge. Now it doesn't. It's all the same.
Nothing. There's no vibe, man.
I had a story on it the other day. Very good story.
You have to look it up.
Yeah.
Yeah, but think about it. There's no songs about Nashville, New Orleans, nothing about Bourbon Street.
No pride.
Nothing about any street. No. Nothing about any city. It's Deadsville.
Totally. And it isn't getting any better. We're being led down the road to cultural oblivion.
Yep.
And when you look at Europe and what's happening in Europe, the same thing is planned for here.
Yep.
Absolutely. I've got a video up that was taken on a street from a second-story building in Germany. And out on the street at night, there are dozens and dozens of these illegal migrants from the Middle East and sub-Saharan Africa, and all they have to do is collect their welfare and hang out on the streets. Well, now they're going out on the streets with 2x4s and clubs, and they're stopping cars of German people, bashing in the windshields, bashing in the side glass, trying to get the people out. The people are flooring it, fleeing. It's anarchy in the streets. And if you don't think that that's the plan for us, and I know most of you listening do, many of you subscribe to Gerald, his brilliant work, and you understand. That's what we're in store for, and I don't know how to stop it. Because we don't have a representative government.
Nobody talks about how it started.
No.
The Nobel Peace of Crap Prize winner, the arrogant Barack Obama.
Well, if
only women were in charge. Hillary Clinton,
please.
Samantha Power, and Susan Rice, who gave you the overthrow of Gaddafi in 2011.
Benghazi, ladies and gentlemen, Benghazi. Look, we're in real trouble. We're in deep, deep trouble.
And then you had Cameron and Sarkozy of France and England. And so they overthrew, and Gaddafi warned that when I go, you're going to have a migrant crisis that you won't be able to stop. It's in writing.
That's right.
And then, of course, where most of them coming in a lot from into Germany and other places. Did you ever hear of a place called Afghanistan, the longest war in American history? But we got a plan now. I'm telling you, man, we got this great plan. We're going to win it. And then how about Iraq? And how about Syria?
Yeah.
Oh no, you want to stay home when your country is bombed into junk.
But wait a minute, didn't our president during the campaign talk about bringing our troops home? Didn't he talk about less entanglement with foreign relations and our foreign policy needed to focus more on America's infrastructure?
Yep.
Seems to me he said that. Now he's talking about, you know what he's all about now with that summit. He wants that Nobel Prize. If Obama got one, he wants
money. Look at the money that just came out that Ivanka and that Jared made last year. What, $83 million or something ridiculous.
That's what we know about.
That's what we know about, exactly. And so this guy's just about making dough. But by the way, I just want to say with North Korea, I've said on your show many times, North Korea is not a threat in any way.
No way.
Never was, never has been.
No, like Iran. It's the same kind of basic...
it's even tinier. It's only
it's way smaller.
It's size of Texas.
You know what their GDP is? You know what their GDP is?
Yeah, it's half of that of West Virginia.
It's $14 billion a year. That's it.
I said. Half of West Virginia. So they're not a threat. So what this is...
I sent you the video.
By the way, the deal was done a long time ago.
Yeah.
This is just the presidential reality.
You saw the video I sent, didn't you?
Yeah,
Trump made... Yeah,
yep.
That Trump made to show to Kim.
Exactly.
Oh, he wants in there. He wants to be the...
He wants Trump Towers.
That's exactly what he wants.
It's all he's ever wanted all his life.
Anyway.
Money.
He wants to invest and build North Korea
money, recognition.
Trump land.
He's a narcissist. Look, I did this whole routine about how Trump and I, again, the same age. And when we're out of hand with my parents, they say, "You little SOB, had enough of your garbage, you're going to military school." That was the greatest threat you could give a kid in those days.
That's true.
Believe me, I know.
And they had military schools, lots of them.
He went.
Mm-hmm.
He was so narcissistic and out of control, he went.
Wow.
So, matter of fact, it's only about 30 miles from me over here, Cornwall, New York, just south of Kingston, in the middle of nowhere.
So this was a disciplinary thing that he got. It wasn't a privilege thing.
Now, he's so narcissistic, he couldn't... Yeah. With me, I came, it was, okay, Ma, I'll do anything you want. I'll do anything you want. Now check it out. Here you are, a teenager, right? I'm only speaking for myself. What did I like? I like girls. I like cars. I like sports. Or I should say love on each one of those. As a matter of fact, at 17 years old, I had an MG midget.
Really?
And,
a little MG midget?
MG midget, and I had a lovely, lovely girlfriend, too. And, of course, now, I'm an Italian kid, and Italian mothers spoil their sons. So, and my mother, may she rest in peace, was a great cook. So, now, what would I want to do? Leave all that to go to military school, eat crappy food, not be around any girls, can't have my own car, and I got to dress up in this little military drag uniform? Trump was so out of control, they sent him to the New York Military Academy up in Cornwall, New York.
Well, they've tried to pass that off as some kind of a privileged thing that he got to do.
Nah. It was for narcissistic, out-of-control kids. You ask anyone of that generation.
He was emotionally
you little SOL, enough of your crap. You're going to military. I'll be good. I'm telling you. Matter of fact, I even wrote about it in my Zizzy book.
Wow.
How they took us when we were little kids to the botanical gardens in the Bronx. They had these big gates there. And they told us it was military school to get out of the car. Enough of this. I wrote about it. See, he was so out of control. This kid's coming from this rich family. He was so out of control, they sent him to military school because he's so narcissistic.
Well, he never outgrew it.
Never outgrew it. Matter of fact, he built it bigger. But again, I applaud him on this action with Korea. It's better because they're going to demilitarize. They may keep a couple of weapons there, and it'll ease the tensions. So I look at that as a positive.
Long as it works, I'm with you. I'm not. I don't trust after what they did to Gaddafi. I don't trust any of it.
I don't think they're going to get rid of all their nuclear weapons. But remember, China doesn't want nuclear testing going on the peninsula. They're neighbors. China wants this thing to cool down. It's not Trump that's making these decisions here. He's only a small part of it. It's Moon from South Korea, who's been a pro-peace advocate for years, and he got elected last year. And it's the Chinese. They want to open up the borders, do business, ease this tension out, and their other border is with Russia. So it's like a whole group behind this.
Well, I think
but the United States media makes it think like the United States is calling all the shots.
No chance. No, this is a big game. That video I sent you, to me, I laughed. I just kept laughing.
I did too.
I howled. What he did, for those of you who didn't see, I've got the video up there. You see it in headlines. He used this video to try to wow Kim. It showed hotels in North Korea. It showed marinas. It showed boats and condos. It looked like Miami Beach.
Yeah.
And that's what his vision is for Kim in North Korea.
What an ugly scene, too, Maron.
Oh, yeah.
How to destroy a beautiful waterfront.
Thank
in
you.
one easy lesson.
Amen. No, that was a gross violation of culture and taste, to put it mildly. But that's what he showed him.
But that's what he doesn't have, culture or taste.
No, he's just a real estate hustler.
That's all. And a narcissistic cat, Matt. And so, but anyway, there are things, I totally agree with Trump's trade policies. I'm totally against.
Are they Trump's trade policies, or whose are they, Gerald?
And I think a lot of them are coming from him. But I'm totally against what he's doing with Iran, totally against moving the embassy against international law into Jerusalem, totally against letting Israel steal more land. So I'm totally against the United States being in Syria, but I agree with him on the trade practices in the Korean deal.
Let's see what happens. I'm like you. I don't see Kim giving up all his nukes. I just don't. He may.
He'll be out of the news if he.
That'll take him right off the front page. Yeah.
It'll wind down. People will forget about it. Nothing's going to happen. It's kind of like, remember, me growing up during the Vietnam War.
Trump gave up nothing.
Who knows anything about Vietnam anymore?
Nothing. No, they don't know it. I'll bet if you asked 100 people on the streets what years were the Vietnam War, they couldn't tell you. They couldn't even get half of them right. I'll bet that. Easy. Now, remember, in this so-called summit, what did Kim give up? Nothing. That wasn't a treaty. It was just an agreement in principle. We agree we're going to work toward this and that. There's nothing. There was nothing said about monitoring anything. Nothing. No way to affirm that anything's been done. It was a
it's
joke.
brand new, though, Jeff, and I think there's going to be movement on it.
Well,
and the movement's going to come, for me, from China and South Korea.
Oh, I couldn't agree more with that. You got it.
But it's a good start.
Let's see what happens. I mean, I'm all for it.
It's better than anyone before him has done in the U.S. presidency.
Since 1953, I guess.
That's right.
Yeah.
So again, you know me, I call him out on the things that I disagree with because it's taking human life and stealing our money, like the tax breaks he gave to all the rich cats.
It's funny when you look at the pictures of him taking Kim out to show him the Beast, his limo, his bulletproof limo, armor-plated limo that they fly over there, I guess, in a C5A or something. And Kim has one that's a Mercedes that's even more expensive. So they were showing off, I guess, I don't know if Kim's was there or not.
Well, there's a reason why. It's the greatest freak show on earth.
Amen. Amen.
And that's how we started.
Thanks, and congratulations on that fun night. I'm glad that you had a good time. You deserve
thank you.
it.
And remember, everyone, the Trends Journal, history before it happens.
Amen. Thanks, Gerald. Good night. Gerald Celente, and we will be back with hour number 2 in a minute.